pick up and new people, about 5 new ones that attended this session. So,
including Fred. Thanks for coming, Fred.
They say Luke is done it too.
Coming, hope they return next year. We're going to have a prayer by Danielle. Okay, we're going to have I'm going to have a scripture lesson. Let's get started. And the first session here will be about a little over an hour. And I'll talk about, I'm going to play about 3 tapes. You're going to hear about another 20 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes, good 20 minutes, I'd say, yeah, good 25 or 30 minutes of Lindsay, the tape that I played Thursday evening. We're also going to talk about the Dutch bank, the DB bank. That bank is on a death watch, I guess that's what it said. That's the largest bank in Germany. It's in the process of being the next Lehman Brothers. That take place. We'll talk about that. He is a penny plate. His name is V Gorilla. He's a big commodity broker. He was a big commodity broker, one of the largest commodities. I think it's the Royal Bank of Scotland, one of those big commodities. We'll play part of that. And then, what else I was going to do? Oh, and then the final thing I'll talk about is I'll go through an overview of what's transpired. Now listen, things are pretty shaky now in this aspect of it. As of, I guess, Bernanke only has another 6 months left. And I'll talk about that. And then they have Yellen, and it's a woman, and Summers. He was the Summers. Larry Summers, very interesting guy. You know, he lost $1 billion for Harvard.
Sure did.
Harvard's
endowment, I think.
Endowment fund.
Yeah.
So, very interesting character, well connected. So, those are the 2 candidates that we know. We'll talk about that. But there will be some surprises, and Lindsay's going to talk about that. As I had pointed out, you get a chance, you check out I did this lecture, DVD on Obama, his name and everything. It's on the internet. It's got over 100,000 hits. But in that tape, that thing, it states that the problems Obama would have would be in the second term. And this is what Lindsay and everybody is saying. This is, as I said before, by Yahweh, the 14th and 15th, 2014 and 2015, they do expect a big crisis. I mean, a huge crisis. It's going to be very interesting how they're going to play it. Stockton said there will not be another QE, no more QEs. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to play this thing out as people begin to kind of be shaken out of their sleep as we have this next big financial crisis. There's a lot of banks in Europe that's in a lot worse shape than they are here in the U.S. because they had a leverage up of 36 to 1, where most banks here are 10 to 12 to 1. So they leverage 3 times up, and most of those banks they're gone. And it's just a matter of time before this thing finally hits another major crisis. And it is these crises that really is going to propel gold and silver crazy, and silver. So we'll open with a prayer by Danielle, and then I'll begin. This is the gold session for about an hour, a little hour. Yeah, ready to start. Go ahead.
My friend is there.
Father Yahweh, I come to you through your son Yahshua Messiah, and I thank you for in the name of Jesus.
Hallelujah. Okay, now I'm gonna play, we started in the middle of this, and it'll be about 20 minutes in there,
You better turn the popcorn on.
mm.
You want to text them over?
Okay, while it's getting good. While that's being booted up, in 19, as we had pointed out, this crisis began, as we said, 1960 was the end of the age. That's the end of the age, and we've been in a probationary period, and that's because we had the 4 times 490. That's the 70 weeks of Daniel, probationary period, and the 50, which is actually, it was said, is 49. 49 would be 2009. That is when Lehman Brothers went belly up. And then we had next year's 2010, which was actually a year Jubilee, the first Jubilee after the end of the age. Now the second Jubilee is, remember there was 2 Jubilees. The first on the Jews and the second one was on the what?
Gentiles.
Gentiles, so that's 2017. This is why I said that this, that's the second Jubilee. So we're having this second major crisis that's approaching. And at some point, you can see why Jim Sinclair said that 2020, about that time, they probably want to reboot the system of the world. They want to reboot the system. Jim Sinclair, one of the top gold experts, with 53 years, you can see he wanted to reboot because they don't want to go into the next 10 years having all this what? Debt. All this debt to 2030. So they figure that they can get most of this wiped out in this reboot. Then this would be sort of what they believe. They hope that it will be a renewed prosperity to take place, but they're going to be they're going to have a lot. I think they're going to have a lot of surprises. But this thing is not rude awakening. So we can begin to see what will transpire here, because the debt has to be the debt can't be paid, and that's an impossibility. And the only way out is some form of a jubilee. And what that means when they say jubilee, that means everybody's going to take a hit in terms of their savings, et cetera. And the way that Lindsey Williams said, what Lindsey Williams is stating, is that they're not going to do the same thing they did in Cyprus. What he thinks they're going to do is go into the IRAs and the 401ks, like I told you. They won't do it all at one time. They would take a percentage of those people's money. And I think it's something like $6 trillion. I think in IRAs and 401ks, it's between $6 and $12 trillion, somewhere in there. So that would be enough money if they just say, for instance, if they couldn't sell the debt to the world, nobody would buy it. The only outcome it would have was one, the Fed. That would be that's bankrupt the Fed, and the currency would blow up. The only other way that they could go and park the money would be the 401ks and say, listen, we're going to take $2 trillion from you and we're going to put it in bonds, an X amount of bonds that they could do to offset the deficit as a result of what? The the deficit. So, for instance, just say that the budget deficit is $1 trillion over the taxes. Well, they can go in and snatch out $1 trillion out of the people's what? Accounts. And they would immediately feel it and put those bonds in there. But that would sort of, they were trying to do the same thing that happened in Japan. So Japan, when the economy crashed, they didn't have to go to the financial markets outside of their country. They went to the people's savings and put bonds in there. So they were able to go. They were able to do this 20 years. But the debt is so great in America and the world that they didn't got another 20 years. So we're gonna listen to about 20 to 30 minutes of what Lindsay has said. And as a point that I want to make here, that is very interesting, that he says about David Stockman,
Right.
which was a former budget director for Reagan.
You know, do you have your
Audio's
box
not,
on?
audio's not on. The box is not on. Yeah. Line in, right there in the front. Yeah.
Just turn it
Because of a contact that I had with my elite friend just recently. And I will make another DVD every time that I feel information is given to me that is so direct comes my currency. Purpose. New Zealand, States of America. What are they going to do? No. They won't try the same thing that they tried in Cyprus. It's too obvious. Watch out retirement funds. It has been talked about. I did not say the final decision has been made. It has been talked about the possibility of going into every retirement fund, possibly 401ks, maybe IRAs, and one morning when you wake up to merely hear it said, we are going to withdraw a certain percentage of your money from those funds in order to help take care of the physical cliff, the national debt, health care. Watch out now. And if you're in those things, you need to be prepared for the inevitable. It has already been planned. Let me assure you of that. It was planned a long time before it happened in Cyprus. And now it is also planned for eventually every nation in the world over a period of time. Now, are you noticing that I'm trying to tell you that this is not going to happen tomorrow morning? It is going to happen gradually. It was first Cyprus. Then it may be New Zealand. Next it may be Canada. I'm saying maybe. They haven't decided exactly which nation is yet. Down the line somewhere, it's going to be the United States of America. In each nation, they will probably use a different methodology of accomplishing what they want. In Cyprus, please, I hope that you have pencil and paper. Now, I know that you'll review this DVD many times, and you'll probably give it to many other people, which I beg you to do. This is not a copywritten DVD. I beg you to copy it and give it to every friend or neighbor that you have. They must know it. And eventually they'll look back on this DVD and say, my goodness, isn't that amazing that that man knew that? Well, no. It's only amazing by the providence of God that many years ago I was invited to be the chaplain to the elite of the world for a 3-year period. And because of that, I keep in touch with some of these people who are now in their 70s and 80s, retired, but they still know everything that goes on behind closed doors. So whenever I say that this was planned well in advance, Cyprus didn't just happen. It happened by a design plan. Now, you have that pencil and paper. You've had time to get it. And if you don't catch it right now, you can go back and review the DVD. I want to give you 2 words. Disannul wealth. Now, this was the exact phrase that was used to me. Disannul wealth. This is what it's all about. you'll remember that in previous DVDs, I said that the elite wish to create forced debt on every nation, every state, every city, every county. You, as an individual, forced debt creation. This is their latest plan for forced debt creation. And when you see and hear what really happened in Cyprus, you are going to be utterly amazed. Put down the words again now. Make sure you have them down. Disannul wealth. The mega rich and the wealthy lost approximately $10 billion in Cyprus banks. Let me try to explain. No. You say, oh, but chaplain, all we saw was the people on the streets trying to get their money out of the bank. And they're the poor people. That's not what it was all about. That's what the news media wanted you to see. They wanted to play on your sympathy. But what was Cyprus really about? Something you've never heard in any newsletter, because I only got it a matter of moments ago from my elite friend. You haven't seen it in a single newsletter yet, neither have I. You probably will after this DVD gets out, because it's so plain to see what they really did. Let me try to give it to you in a nutshell if I can. Cyprus was a monetary laundering country for the wealthy. Yes. Now, forget about those people on the streets. You remember that eventually the government of Cyprus came back and said, we aren't going to remove 9% of your funds. That wasn't what it was about in the first place. That was only a smokescreen in the front to distract your attention so that the news media could use it. What was it really about? In order to know what it was really about, I must go back to what Cyprus is. Cyprus was a monetary laundering country for the super wealthy of the world. Now, let me try to explain the super wealthy. Up here, you have at the very top the elite. Down here, you have the ordinary, everyday person on the street. Have you ever thought about those people in between that are being talked about so much by the President of the United States of America? He calls them the wealthy. Well, some of them mega wealthy, like the man that tried to run as president and didn't make it. He owns a number of companies, Staples and a few others. You would call him mega wealthy if you'd like. Nothing wrong with that. He made it honestly, and you'd make it too if you wish to, but that's not the issue. Now let's take the elite way up here. Nobody's going to touch them. They're the ones that control all of this. You have the little person down here. Everybody's going to play on your sympathy because of the little man on the street who couldn't get his money out of the bank. In between, everybody has forgotten about these people. They're the ones that own the businesses. They're the ones that give you your job. They're the ones that create wealth in the nation. They are the people who own the companies, whether large or small. And these people in between had used Cyprus as a money laundering country for years. Let me try to explain who some of these people are. Number one, wealthy Russians used Cyprus more than anyone else. That's correct. A lot of people in Russia are very wealthy, including Mr. Putin. And they had used Cyprus as a method of hiding their funds. Again, Europeans. A lot of Europeans had used Cyprus. It was fairly safe. It was safer than Liechtenstein and some other places in Switzerland. So they were using Cyprus as a method to hide their wealth. Drug lords. Oh my goodness, what I have heard about the drug lords lately would amaze you. The drug lords of the world were using Cyprus as a method of hiding drug lords. The Middle East entities, yes, many of them. Many of the Arabs were using Cyprus as a money laundering city. The people who supply weapons to the different countries where there are conflicts today in the Middle East, they were using Cyprus as a method of bringing that money in and then taking it out and buying the weapons and shipping them to the countries All of this the elite knew about. The terrorists, yes. Many of the terrorist groups were using Cyprus. Now, let me try to explain to you what the elite wanted to do in doing what they did in Cyprus, and it's not what you've been told at all. First of all, again, the elite are way up here. Nobody's going to touch them. They long since had gotten their money out, if they had it in Cyprus. After all, they don't have to use Cyprus. They have other places. Then here's this large group of people in between before you get to the little man down here on the streets. What was Cyprus all about? It was about this group in between the elite and the man on the street. This group in between here, the elite wanted to put them in. Please catch this word, people. It is so important because I've tried to explain to you the mindset of these elite. These people in between, the elite wanted to put them in debt. Did you catch this? Do you realize that all of these, what was it? I said approximately $10 billion was lost by this in-between group in Cyprus. Approximately $10 billion. It may have been more, probably was more, but at least we can confirm that amount. What did they lose? Wealthy Russians that own businesses lost it. How are they going to keep running their businesses when they have lost their nest egg? What are they going to have to do now? They are going to have to go and borrow money from whom? The elite. Are you getting it? What about these people that were Europeans and maybe the drug lords? They've got to continue to operate their businesses. Now that they are wiped out, I mean literally wiped out in one day in Cyprus, their nest eggs, what are they going to have to do now in order to get back into the groove of doing what they've done before? They're going to have to go and borrow money. Are you getting the message, folks, that every bit of this is about one thing? The elite of the world, the new world order, wants every human being on the face of this earth, every business that's operated anywhere, whether it be Russia or the Middle East or America or Europe. They want every nation. They want every state in America. They want every county. They want every city. Everything they want it in such massive debt. And they want it there within approximately the next year and a half to 2 years. I mean massive debt. To the point that there is so much debt that there is no way any nation, the United States of America, look at what's happening. Our debt limit is unbelievable. They're creating all of this for the purpose of massive debt. Federal Reserve printing money like it's going out of style. We're right on the verge of a major inflationary spiral that's got to take place because of all the billions that the Federal Reserve is printing out of thin air. And now the new world order, the elite, as they said to me, wish to take this group between here and here, between the elite and the person on the street, and put them into debt in a different manner. Just merely wipe them out with the stroke of a pen. Step into Cyprus and say one morning, we are going to not give you your money back if you've got over a certain amount in the bank. Are you beginning to get the message? This is exactly what they're up to. So, what's happening? Cyprus ends as a place to hide money. Can't ever do it again. It's gone. Now, there are other places around the world where money is being hid. It's been hid. Well, we'll go into those in a few moments. But they're going to be wiped out too. Mark my words. It's a progressive step that's going to be taken in order to wipe out the money so that these people are forced into a debt situation, just like they're trying to force you and me, the small businessman of America, the United States, the Federal Reserve is doing all of this. The elite are in the process of creating forced debt creation as you've never seen. Now, a few people beat the game. Let me read you about this one. This is the president of Cyprus. His family. Now, a few people are catching it. Do you understand why I'm making this DVD? I want to warn you ahead of time. If you will listen to what my elite friends are telling me to do, telling me, Lindsey Williams, they're telling me what to do, out of appreciation for me giving 3 years of my life as a chaplain to the elite. These people, some of them now retired in their 70s and 80s, are saying to me, Chaplain, this is what you need to do. And I am sticking my neck out to say to you, this is what you need to do. I'm trying to save your dinner table and your household and your family. Now, what are we seeing happen? Cyprus is no longer that money laundering center. You are going to be facing something very similar. It's called disannulled wealth. Remember how much the mega rich lost in Cyprus, these nations around the world. They want to put them into a situation of forced debt creation. Now, you know the truth now about Cyprus. There's no more doubt in your mind, and you realize that I will tell you so that you can do something about it. Keep something in mind. You don't have to lose. You do not need to stand in a bread line. In 1929, at the time of the Great Depression, between 1929 and 1933, there were many people who made great fortunes. Not everybody lost everything. The people who knew in advance that it was going to happen, they saved themselves heartache. Now that's exactly what happened to the president of Cyprus. I want to read it to you. The family, he knew it. He caught on to it. He got it ahead. You're getting it ahead right now on this DVD. And on other DVDs that I'll make over the next few months if necessary. I will tell you before it happens. So don't miss a single one of our DVD series. Here's what happened. The president of Cyprus, he and his family moved $21 million out of Cyprus banks into London banks, bank accounts, just hours before the Cyprus situation took place. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
The president of Cyprus and his family, $21 million. Now, folks, you can likewise spare yourself. If you know in advance that it's going to happen, you can do something about it. Now, this is going to startle you because it comes right close to home. Whenever I say close to home, I'm talking about around the corner from where you and I live. You know what Canada did? Yeah, this was done, I think, just last week in Canada. Yeah, right. They are getting ready. The elite are setting everything up so they can do this. And they're doing it in advance. Let me read this to you about Canada. Just take a look at the Canadian government's budget for 2013. Now, catch this carefully. Particular page 144 and 145. I'm giving you page numbers. I'm telling you, you go on the internet and pick this up for yourself. Now, this is the the country of Canada budget for 2013. Go to page 144 and 145, and it says Economic Action Plan of 2013. You are going to be appalled. This might even be tried in the United States of America. Watch out. What did the Canadians do? The Canadian government promised that they can now use Canadian deposits to save systematically important bank accounts whenever it occurs.
Yeah, right.
Did you catch that? Systematic, let's see, the words that they use, this is so dastardly. Systematic important. In the Canadian budget for 2013, they have already put it in writing in the budget that Canada can do the same thing that Cyprus did. This is being tried all over the world. Canadians, you think you're exempt? It's already been written into the budget for 2013 that the same thing can happen in Canada that happened in Cyprus. Well, you say, Chaplain, I thought this was just a fantasy. No. every class of person, I don't care whether it's rich or poor, you're going to face debt. It is a trap. Don't allow yourself to get into it. I'm trying my best to warn you that the in-between, now you and I are down here. I'm just an ordinary everyday person. I don't classify myself up here at all. I do know some of these people, fortunately, but I'm down here. I'm right with you. And these people in between, the wealthy in between, every single one of them are going to face a debt-forced creation situation. In Cyprus, all those people that lost their money, what can they do now? They have to go borrow money in order to continue their businesses, operate their houses, pay their bills. It is a forced debt creation, and I hope you're catching it. Now, Canada just said, we have the right to do that anytime we have a problem with our budget. The rich, as well as the poor, you now need, you must not go into debt. The elite want you in debt. They'll do everything in their power to get you into debt. Every class of person, I don't care who it is going to face this. The New World Order. Now please catch this, because this was a statement that was intimated to me. The New World Order is in its final formation stages. Now you remember that this was announced back many, many years ago, 30, 40 years ago, by Daddy Bush, when he said, read my lips, 1,000 points of light, New World Order. It was announced. It's taken them all of these years to accomplish what they wanted. They are now in the final stages of the formation of what they want to do. Cyprus was just a new quirk in doing what they'd like to do, and this time, instead of going like they've done with the United States of America and creating national debt that is so exorbitant that we'll never be able to pay it even by our great-great-grandchildren, what's happening with the euro in Europe, now the elite decided we've got to go to reach a new class, a new type, and they did. They took these people between here, and now they're forcing debt on them, just as they're going to do on you and me every way they possibly can. They are in their final formation stages. Many of you will remember, and you've probably heard me on radio shows, so you've heard me say it. The elite do have a code of ethics. And one of the factors in their code of ethics is they must tell you everything they're going to do before they do it. Now, I know it sounds strange that the elite would have a code of ethics. They do. Very different than your code of ethics. Positively different than the code of ethics which you would find in the Bible. But they do have a code of ethics. And one of the facets of that code of ethics, they must tell us everything they're going to do before they do it. They may tell you through a movie. They may tell you through a TV program. They may tell you on the evening news, if you know how to listen to their buzzwords. An example of buzzwords. David Stockman was the budget director of the United States of America during the administration of President Ronald Reagan. On April the 2nd of 2013, just a few days ago, David Stockman warned, let me read you his words because this is full of buzzwords everywhere. This is what I'm trying to help you understand, how to interpret their buzzwords so that you'll know exactly what they're going to do. He said, quote, the U.S. economy is in a bubble inflated by phony money from the Federal Reserve and will burst within a few years. Now, what buzzwords would you have caught in that expression? First of all, he talks about the Federal Reserve. Secondly, he says it's going to bust. Did you catch that? How long did he say before it was going to burst? Yeah, all of these are right here, if you know what to listen for. He said in a few years. Well, I'll tell you how long that is. It's 1.5 to 2 years. Now, David Stockman warned, and let's go on. In an essay published yesterday in the New York Times, Stockman wrote, New York Times, you could not find a more liberal publication in the country. They are telling you, they are pouring out their code of ethics to you if you know what to listen for. And you can spare your household. You don't have to stand in a soup line. Let me tell you what I did. When my elite friend recently gave me the information that he did, I was so startled. After the conversation, I got on my laptop, on my computer, and I contacted another elite friend that I know. And I said, this is what I was just told. Can you confirm it? I got it back. Confirmed. Exactly right. Now, I'm trying to help you understand these buzzwords. David Stockman said, first of all, New York Times, liberal periodical. Stockman wrote that the Fed's quantitative easing policies following the credit crisis has flooded stock markets with cash, even while the Main Street economy remains weak. The combination, he wrote, is unsustainable. What does unsustainable mean? It can't go on. It's going to come to an end. Now, he goes on to tell you how it's going to happen. Everything is here. If you'll believe it, you can save yourself heartache. I'm trying. All right. When it burst. Now I'm quoting David Stockman in his new book. He said, when it burst. It's not if it's going to burst. It's not maybe it's going to burst. It's not will it happen like Cyprus. It's not, please. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. The elite already have it planned. Barring divine intervention, this will take place the way that the elite have already decided it behind closed doors, and they are telling you in advance what they're going to do. He said, when it bursts, there will be no new round of bailouts like the ones that the banks got in 2008. They aren't, the next time around, they're going to let it collapse. It's not going to get bailed out. Stockman's telling you that. He's trying to warn you in advance. And he goes on to say some other things here. I hope you'll go back and get his article again. Instead, America will descend into an era of zero-sum austerity and virulent political conflict, extinguishing even today's feeble remnants of economic growth. Do you realize that this is exactly what the elite want? I've got to go back to an expression here. Numbers of radio shows that I've been on.
I just wanted to play that part again about
He
what
said zero sum. What do you mean by zero sum? Is that in the game, zero sum simply means this. Let's say it this way. If you're in a public game, you got 10 people there, and it's $1,000 in the pot. That's all it is. You're going to have losers and what? Winners. That's what it means by zero sum. In other words, they don't want the money coming in. So when he said zero sum, and where things are at, when they close down, that means there'll be some winners and there'll be some what? Losers. That's what he means. And they'll do whatever they can to. What happens, the system will clear itself out. So those that were losers will have to declare bankruptcy, and those that are winners, they will walk away with the prize. So that's what he meant when he said zero sums, and he said that there will be, he also stated there will be a great deal of chaos, and folks wind up losing jobs, homes, and most of their worldly possessions.
Just go back a
To help you understand these buzzwords. David Stockman said, first of all, New York Times, liberal periodical. Stockman wrote that the Fed's quantitative easing policies following the credit crisis has flooded stock markets with cash, even while the Main Street economy remains weak.
And so when he said the quantitative easing, that means the Fed, the way the system is set up, the Fed is the wholesaler, sold. Here's the feds here, and you got all these banks. Happens to be 12 of them. which are all members of this club. And what they have as extinction, there's 12 of them. Here's the feds here, the Federal Reserve. What they have over all the other banks that are part of this club, they're able to get free money. They're able to get money at 0 interest rates. So all these banks get money at 0 interest rates. That means that they have the ability to loan it out at say 5%. So they make it 5 times because they got the money free. But what usually happens, so they get the money, and usually what happens with this money, what's happening now is that the money that they got from the feds, where did the feds get it? They got it from creating out of nothing. In other words, they just created money out of thin air. Just get a little check or some paper and gave them to us. It's just in the same situation when you go to a bank. For instance, the way it works like this, it's called the fractional reserve system. And that's what that guy, Dodge was talking about. There's no way, even when they set this system up, they're not gonna go back to a one-to-one. So what I mean by this is simply this, real quick. You have a bank, you take a bank, and a bank has a deposit, say, of $1 million. You come in and put $1 million in the bank. Okay, what this bank will do, or even a Federal Reserve Bank, what they have the power to do is that then you come in, remember that, you come in, they have the power to multiply this 10 times. So they can make a $10 million loan. But they only had $1 million. So what they have, so where does other $9 million come from? That's that $9 million. This $9 million is the money that's created out of what? That's just created out of thin air. See, so they loan all this money out. So somebody comes in and says, well, I'm a big manufacturer, I need $1 million. Then somebody else says, I need $1 million. And somebody else says, I need $2 million. So they're loaning all this, but they only start out with $1 million. So they got an extra $9 million that they're earning what? Interest on. And they just create out of nothing. So they're able to do this. And the problem with this, they actually, now remember when they create this $9 million, this is all debt that's in the system. This is all debt. And so they can create this, but the problem is, the only money that exists is the money that's backed by what? Debt. See, and what that means simply is that if they decide to, and in certain situations,
Call it in.
they call it in, or just say you got the shadow bank over here. That's the hedge funds, and they create, let's say, $1 trillion. So they're creating more debt than there's money to what? To pay the debt back.
Right.
So that's the fallacy, because none of this is backed by any what? Gold or silver. And that's the problem you have, is that, so what happens is what he's saying here now, is that when the system finally collapsed, and the banks, this banks go bankrupt, what happens is that only all these people that have, so what this means is simply this. You got a $2 million, you go out and buy this guy, he bought a $2 million, let's say he bought an apartment building. Somebody else may have a computer firm. Okay, when they call all this money, all these assets then resorts back to who's owner now?
The original owner.
The bank, it goes back to the bank, they loaned you the money.
Right.
Yep.
You couldn't pay it back.
Right.
So they repossess your assets, and they wind up owning the whole thing.
That's a liquidity crisis.
See what I'm saying? So that's what's happening, is there's not enough money to pay these loans back. And when he said zero sum, so that means that the only somebody that's going to be able to survive that are those that have the gold and silver.
Right.
And the other person is the sovereignty of the federal government. I had a friend, he was telling me about it. He said, well, the best thing you can have, I said, what are the best things? I was talking to a friend, he said, well, gold and silver is the top. I said, no, it's not. It is in one sense, it's not. I says, what you would want to do, I says, you want to be like Joseph. See, Joseph didn't have one dime.
He had food.
He had food. Or, in other words, he was connected directly to the Pharaoh, and Pharaoh had sovereignty rights.
Right.
See, for instance, give you what I'm talking about now, is that, say you don't have a nickel to your name. Well, these banks call these properties back in, and they can say, well, you know, okay, give me $1 and I'll give you the whole property bill if it was $10 million. See, that's better than what? That's better than roll this up, because you got an asset. See, and you didn't pay nothing for it. So these assets that they will garnish, they will be used for themselves and for others, and that Yahweh will do. That's what happened to Daniel and Joseph in Egypt. What happened to Daniel? They were given a whole province. They didn't have no gold. So they were given a whole bunch of, in other words, they were given a reservation. They had complete sovereignty. They didn't even have to answer to nobody except who? Pharaohs. You know what I'm saying? That's just like the Indians. They are sovereign. That they can be taxed, etc. Well, that's what's happening here, is that the only somebody that's going to come out on top is the elitists and those that Yahweh have given visions and revelations. Because this thing that says in chaos, that's what he said that. So what's happening now, getting back to the other point here, instead of this money being loaned out by the banks that's the members here, what they're doing, all these banks, these are like your J.C. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. These are banks here. They're getting free money from the feds. What they do, instead of taking this money and allocate it out to investments, they take it and put it in the stock market. They put it in the stock market, I should say stock market, and they put it in the commodity market. So then the stock market is going what? Up, and the commodities are going up. People say, well, how the hell that stuff going up? And the stock market is going crazy. It's at 15,000, almost 16,000. How can that go up like that? Because the money that the Feds created is being put in the stock market. Now catch this. Now all these member banks have put their money into the stock market. Then what they're doing now is going to entice the what? The public to come in. Mm-hmm. See, so that they can sell and get out and make money. See, because if it was just the 12 members, all they do is taking money from what? Each other. They said, no, this ain't gonna work, man. We gotta get the pension funds and all these other folks to come in, put their money on the table, so we can sell it in and what? And get out. So that's what he's saying, that the stock market is being pumped up by the Fed's money that they gave to the member banks, and the member banks are putting it into the stock market and gathering. But the whole thing is rigged because it's not honest money. It's money created out of what? Thin air, and put it to the market. They pumping this stuff up, and people think, happy days are here again. so it's all a fraud. And see, none of the stocks you cannot. And in that case, is the way this is set up, you can't determine the value of nothing. Now, what is the value of IBM? It's $189. What's the value of Google? Google's almost $1,000. Well, really, it's not, because it's all this money's being pumped in. Now, if all this money was taken out, we could find out real quick. And I tell you, Google would come down real quick, faster than a speeding bullet.
Wait,
see, what?
What's the release date on this DVD and what's the title?
The release date, this came out in April of 2013.
Thank you. Okay. And then the title?
The title is, what's the title of this? Is New Signs of the Elite. Just give it me.
Is this the one you're going to give us copies?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to give you copies of, exactly.
Dr. Warren,
yeah.
I have one question.
What?
So the system, even without all that other stuff you explained, the system is designed and is set up that it'll always be debt, because the money that's paying off the debt is always going to be less than what the debt is itself.
Exactly. That's exactly, because you got no new money coming in. Only the money that's coming in is the money that they create, and then the money they create out of the thin air. Then what happens is as they pump these assets up and create this, they create the debt. And in other words, they give you a loan for $50,000, $100,000. And what happens then is they pump so much money into the market, they create so much money that they push the real estate values what? Sky high. Then you go out and take out a loan on the sky high loans. See, and what happens when the value starts, you can't what? There's not enough money to pay it off.
That's why a lot of people are trapped now.
They're trapped now. There's no way out, except that they walk away and declare bankruptcy or happen to win the lottery. But there's no way out of the system. Now listen, so when they reboot the system, what do you think they're gonna do? It's the same game gonna restart what?
All over again.
All over again, at a slower pace. But like what the granddad guy, he said, listen, we're not going to let this go. Now unless the people rise up and do what Joshua did with the money changers and cash them out and put real strict restrictions on them. Regulations on them. Other than that, it can't do. So what happens is this: you can go back to a gold standard. Let me do it this way. It's two ways you get it. So you can have. See, when the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, you had a gold standard. But what they did, they created more gold certificates. Then there was what?
Actual gold.
Actual gold in circulation. And when the thing crashed, everybody came back for their gold. And they realized the bank said, well, we don't have the gold here. What do you mean you don't have it? We created more of these certificates, and people came back. So if they put all the gold, all these banks go broke. So that's the reason why he had to confiscate the whole process. So that's the reason. So then when they reboot the system, now let me show you what happened earlier in the 1890s. What happened was you had a gold standard. You had a gold standard. They had a gold standard. And what happened was, in other words, all the money was backed by gold. This was a real strict standard. I mean, because actually, the growth was only 1 to 3% a year under the gold standard. It's very slow growth, very slow. So that means if you were poor, you just about had to eke a living, but the standard of living was what? Lower. But it was very little growth under a gold standard, and it takes 25, 30 years for things to really improve. You don't have these quick booms and busts. Well, this is the 1880s. Let's say 1880s. Well, lower what happened in the 1880s. This is what happened. And remember, this is a strict gold. They got a gold standard. Now, what happened was a new source of money came in. It was called silver. They hit the mother load out there in Montana and out west. Nevada. And Nevada, man. So they had 16 times more silver than gold. And they wanted to put this in the circulation. They said, wait a minute. Now the banks control the what? The gold. And they said, wait a minute. You can't bring this new money in here. So what this new silver money did, what did they do to this thing? It brought about what? Inflation, and you still on a what? On a gold standard. It was just a huge amount of money that come into circulation that the government had to soak this up. And there was a battle between the silver, what they call silver was cheap money. The farmers wanted cheap money, and they wanted silver. The bankers said, no, we ain't going that way. We control the gold and want to be a gold standard. So that goes to show you, you could be on a gold standard and just say you're on a gold standard, and they find $10 trillion of gold. What do they do to the money situation?
Devalue it.
And it devalues it. So I mean, none of this stuff is perfect. It's just based relative on how much gold is in existence to take care of the goods and services of a certain amount of population. But say if you find a double amount of gold is dumped into the market instantaneously, the gold value will fall in what? In half. So people just don't understand that when you talk about money, it's the money and a stable money. As long as you create enough money, whatever it be, in case of gold or silver, enough for the population to take care of the goods and services, that's fine. But don't let another another source of money, values like silver did. It created all types of chaos. And that's what the Wizard of Oz is about, the golden bricks. There was a fight between the cheap money with silver, and the people with the gold wanted to hold on to the gold standard because it was a strict time situation, and they controlled this. This they didn't what?
It didn't control.
It didn't control. So that's another situation. So we're going back to a standard that's going to be put on a gold standard. But what's going to happen, they still going to go back to some form of fractional what? Banking. So it won't be 30 to 1. It'll probably be, let's just say 7 or 10 to 1. But that don't do you no good because you did what? Broke. You were dead broke. See, we don't know what the Chinese and everybody else is going to say about this the system that they want to reimpose. So this is what what's the name was talking about. So we'll finish this.
The combination he wrote is unsustainable. What does unsustainable mean? It can't go on. It's going to come to an end. Now, he goes on to tell you how it's going to happen. Everything is here. If you'll believe it, you can save yourself heartache. I'm trying. All right. When it burst. And I'm quoting David Stockman in his new book. He said, when it burst. It's not if it's going to burst. It's not maybe it's going to burst. It's not will it happen like Cyprus. It's not, folks, please, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. The elite already have it planned. Barring divine intervention, this will take place the way that the elite have already decided it behind closed doors, and they are telling you in advance what they're going to do. He said, when it bursts, there will be no new round of bailouts like the ones that the banks got in 2008. They aren't, the next time around, they're going to let it collapse. It's not going to get bailed out. Stockman's telling you that.
Okay.
He's trying to warn you in advance. And he goes on to say some other things here. I hope you'll go back and get his article again. Instead, America will descend into an era of zero-sum austerity and virulent political conflict, extinguishing even today's feeble remnants of economic growth. Do you realize that this is exactly what the elite want? Got to go back to an expression here. Numbers of radio shows that I've been on over the past year, people have called in and said, Chaplain, why would the elite destroy their own country? Now, the elite that I knew were all Americans. There may be a few foreign ones. The New World Order is from America. The elite, most of them are from America. They said, why would they destroy their own country? My answer was, you don't understand. The elite aren't destroying America. They are taking over America. They want the control of America. Do you realize that they have to collapse the financial system before they can step in and say, we offer you a new currency. It'll be a world currency. We offer you a new constitution. It'll be the new world order constitution. We offer you a currency backed by gold and silver. I keep trying to tell you they're going to back the new world currency by gold and silver. Gold must go to $3,000 an ounce in order to be able to back that currency. I know you say it's going down right now. Don't pay any attention to it and don't cash in your gold.
There you go.
You'll be making one of the worst mistakes you could ever make. You must buy more on the bottom. If anything, gold has got to go to $3,000 an ounce. Silver's got to go to $75 an ounce. It will go there, and it could do it overnight. David Stockman is trying to tell you what's going to happen. He says they're going to collapse the entire economy. It's going to burst. He even used the word burst here. I'm calling it bust. And it's going to happen. Not this month, not next month, not in the next 3 months. I know you're saying Lindsey Williams said it's going to happen right now. No, I'm not. I've been told you got 1.5 to 2 years, but don't you wait that long. You can't go back to sleep. If you do, you're dead in the saddle, so to speak, as the old cowboy used to say. David Stockman is saying to you right here, the next round, there's going to be no quantitative easing 1, no quantitative easing 2, and he said they are going to let it descend in a zero-sum, sub-zero economy. And at that point, when your child is crying and you can't make the mortgage payment and the bank is about ready to foreclose and you can't afford to put gas in the gas tank, your dollar has gotten to the point that you take a wheelbarrow load to the gas station to buy fuel enough to get to work that week or to buy groceries for that week. And you'll be crying and saying, we'll gladly accept the New World Order. We'll gladly accept the new currency. Just give it to us, and give it to us quick. You realize that's exactly what Stockman is trying to warn you is going to happen? Now, you can make preparation for that. You don't have to be caught off guard. And again, I will say, as I said in the beginning of this DVD, I will know in advance, and I will tell you through some DVD series, which I'll produce very quickly and get it out to you. Don't miss any of them. I'll tell you as it progresses. You have a little time left. Let me read you the next one. You must read David Stockman's book, by the way. There, you'll find buzzwords all the way through it. Now let me go to the Vice President of the United States of America, Mr. Biden. Now, you go back and pick this up for yourself. Friday, April the 5th, 2013. Let me read you exactly what happened. At the banking conference where Biden was speaking, the Vice President Joe Biden called for the creation of, you ready? Now, this is just a day or two ago. He called for the creation of a new world order at a banking conference. What was he saying? He is giving you the buzzwords. With new financial, let me tell you what he says we're going to have. You're going to have it. He says, with new financial institutions, updated global rules. Did you catch that? A new constitution for...
See, and
Who you come?
guess what's going to happen? When they go through the rearrangements, who you think is going to be the same cup of soup, what? Warmed over again. So then when they hit the reset, these member banks, some of them may go under, but the Federal Reserve will exist in some form or another, and these banks will just what? Consolidate. And so we still got the same what? Same system, see, with a new set of rules whereby they rule.
They're always at the top.
They're always going to be at the top. That's basically what it comes down to. You see, for coming out this year, we did have a pickup and new people, about 5 new ones that attended this session. So,
Including Fred. Thanks for coming, Fred.
They said Lucas done it too.
coming, hope they return next year. We're going to have a prayer by Danielle. Okay, we're going to have any type of capital. Most people won't have any capital to do anything. So they're going to have to exchange their labor for the new what? For the new currency. And as a result of the new currency, this is what's going to happen. The new currency, things will be so cheap, but wages will be what? Low. Low.
And more work.
Huh?
And more work.
No, it won't. Yeah, but as far as they're concerned, it'll work. Yeah, we know it won't work.
No,
That's
I said
the way it's
more
gonna-
work.
Huh?
More work. Cheap
Oh,
labor, less cost and more work.
Exactly. So what you have, it'll be just like the 1930s again, with the money being further what? Consolidated at the top, and a lot more poverty and less middle class workers. You're talking about maybe cutting in half about 70%. It's totally gone. And you have a new system that's reconfigured in another system. And what happens? They're not just about balancing the whole world out, because when everything goes broke, the high wages here in Europe will come down so low that will be just above the what? Third world.
Yeah, we'll be like the Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I just want to clarify, when Lindsey Williams said that Cyprus took the money out of the people's bank accounts because it was the elite that made a decision that they were going to use the money laundering banks in Cyprus to
bail out the bank.
bail out the bank. So this is, and when he says elite, he said that there aren't too many foreigners. So this is why Putin was, because they used Russia. Russia wasn't part of the elite that made that decision.
No, they're not part of it. You got billionaires. I mean, because you're a billionaire, that don't mean you're really a part like Gates.
Right.
That don't mean a part you're in a circle.
Sure. So that's why when we have to talk about the BRIC nations, the Brazil and Russia and India and China and South Africa, those people weren't part of this decision to take the money out of Cyprus and.
No, they have to do it. You got some. This here transcends nations.
Yes. Okay.
Well, who's the super rich? The Rothschilds, the
Right.
The bloodlines of Illuminati.
And the bloodlines of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers,
Rockefeller.
the Astors, you know, all these, the Queen of England,
Yeah.
that type of thing, Barnhart, the Prince Barnhart, all of that, those people, well, you're dealing in trees, they're not bigots.
The Vatican,
Yeah, so they're able to escape, and, because they're the ones on the inside that are perpetrating the new rules.
So then when Russia, since Russia's money was in Cyprus when it was, seized, and they only got so much of it back, or a certain percentage back, what was Putin, I mean, that's why Putin's mad at, I mean, I know he's mad because of Syria, but he has other reasons to be angry too.
That's the problem. You look at that as a micro of the whole situation, is that what happens, somebody's gonna get what? Burned. Okay, for instance, once the system is rebooted, well, what happens to the $3 trillion that China has? China has $3 trillion from they earned from trade. You know, selling cheap goods to Europe and the United States, around the world. They have built up a huge bank account. Now you come in and say, you know what? We're gonna change these rules around here.
up in smoke.
And so, boom, your $3 trillion is up in smoke. You're lucky to keep half of it. See, and then the next problem is not so much that. Then that means you lost a half of what you got, and then you don't have a seat at the table. Now you're double pissed because somebody else is making the decisions, and it's Europeans or the white race over here. So wait a minute, no, this ain't working. That's why Russia and China is opposed. So wait a minute, it looks like even under the new system, we still the odd man out, even though we furnish all the research and we have the population of the world.
That's like when they form their own block.
Right. And I'm gonna show you a picture in just a moment about, in just a few moments, as soon as this plays, I'm playing for a little bit of this, but you'll get this. I don't wanna, I wanna make a switch here and show you, I'm gonna show you one picture, and we'll let you decide the sign language, of what it is, in just a moment, about Putin.
The United States of America. Now wait a minute. No, they can't do that to it. You better start right now. I mean, right now, today, every organization out there that believes in the Constitution of the United States of America, like I do, and like I think you do, you better start right now saying, no, we will not have it. You better speak out now. You can't wait until it happens.
Now remember, the Constitution is already what? It's gone. So what he's trying to do is say, wait a minute. The big sign was when Bush told him, it's nothing but a piece of paper. And see, he's speaking from an elitist standpoint.
Right.
See, because we don't. Whatever we have, them rules ain't gonna apply to us. We can plunder and rob, and we still are not gonna be what? Held accountable. So you know what I'm saying. So
It'll be too late then. You need to join every do speak out now. You can't wait until it happens. King, right now, please do and. May have passed already. I don't know. Who knows what goes into some of that paperwork that passes Congress that they don't want you to know about? Now, there's another part of this plan. It's called unemployment. Oh my goodness, well the statistics startling. Here we go. In March, the number of people not in the labor force in March soared by 663,000 to a record of 90 million Americans that are no longer even looking for work.
and he said 90 million. We only got 300 million people. And first of all, we got to remove the women and the children. And it's more than the third was because you take the women and children out. It really what?
About half.
And it's about half. Half of the workforce is unemployed.
Wow.
And remember, 56 million people are on what? On food stamps. So you begin to say, wait a minute, this is why Yahweh has to make special provisions for his people as he did for Joseph in Egypt when he gave him the land of Goshen. See, here it was the land of Goshen. They were already cut out. They were given their own sovereignty. So the Yahweh set up something, set them apart from the craziness that was going on throughout the rest of the land. And Daniel was given that. Yahweh always separates the people, and the rest of the people remained in what? Total what?
Yeah.
Chaos under the current system here.
Now, What is that man going to do? He doesn't have a job. His children are hungry. He can't make his house payment. He'll borrow money any way he can get it. He'll pawn things. He'll borrow. Debt, 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 debt. Do you realize that unemployment is a method of the New World Order getting massive number of people who have never been in debt before into debt like they've never been before? And how many do we have here? We have 90 million Americans who are no longer even looking for work. They've given up. Their jobs have moved to China and India and Mexico. What are those people going to do? One choice, go into debt. Listen to this one. Figures released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics on Friday show that 315,000 women, ladies, please, you've got to see this just like the men. 315,000 women dropped out of the labor force in March. What does that mean that household is going to do? They don't have the money coming in anymore. They'll go do anything they can. They'll go in debt. They'll borrow on their house. They'll borrow on their boat. They'll borrow on anything they can. Are you beginning to see what the elite told me back nearly a year ago? Forced debt creation, Cyprus. Everybody from here to here. This wealthy, they're forcing them into debt also. They're forcing people into debt because they can't find a job. So what do? They do anything to be able to feed that family and get something for their children. Here it is again. Canada. Oh, Canada, you think you're exempt? Many people in Canada will have this DVD. Canada unexpectedly, now this is April the 5th, 2013, Canada unexpectedly shed 54,500 jobs in March. Worst job loss in 4 years. Canadian Times and the dollar tumbled in Canada. Why? Forced debt creation. It's a trap. They want every country. They want every person. They want every state. They want every county. They want the entire world into such massive debt that you will have no choice but to accept their New World Order when they offer it. You can make preparations now and not fall into the trap of debt creation.
Okay. Now remember, debt
Unemployment is a method.
Okay, remember, debt is a form of what?
Slavery.
Sin or slavery. So that's the situation. So you'll be getting a copy of that. So I'm going to make a little switch here real quick. I'm going to go into this. And remember, I told you a couple of things I'm going to bring out here, and then we'll be able to finish up here. I want to give you, let me see here. Okay. What we're going to show forth here is that, just this past week, there's a couple of things have happened. Detroit went belly up about 2 weeks ago, and the big thing now is those people's what? Pensions. We're going to deal with that in just a moment. But let me go to this picture first and get it out of the way, and I think you'll be able to. I thought I had it here. Okay. I'm gonna go with this. Now look at the picture and tell me. What does that tell you? Just look at them.
Wow.
I
They'll look
just
you
want
happy.
to hear that crap you're talking.
Yeah.
He's like these are world leaders.
Pictures worth 1,000 words, huh?
Yeah.
A picture is worth the time. You were asking me about. This tells you we're going back to the situation between East and West. All the wealth is in the money and stuff is in the East. But the power, the true power that controls the financial system is in the what? West. So you can begin to see now. Here's the puppet here, and you can see how. Look at the body language.
Back to the Cold War. Back to the Cold War.
Yeah, Lord.
He's not very happy, is he?
You know what?
Yeah, well, Putin especially is,
was like, yeah, man.
So it's been situated the time. You can see then that this whole thing is being arranged, and there is just coldness between
Yeah, it's
what?
very cool.
The cold between the two superpowers here.
Oh, there's a video on YouTube where when Obama went to Russia, none of the officials shook his hand. He went down the line and stuck his hand out,
Right.
and they looked at him like he was crazy, and Putin was behind him. And
Wow.
when Putin came by, they all shook his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it's
cold shoulder.
Disrespect.
it's
Gave him the cold shoulder.
and a cold shoulder showing for they're displeasing at the East, you know,
In the United States.
at the United States.
Because they're gonna be left out in the cold. These brick people gonna be left out in the cold.
Exactly, under the new system. So, you know, this has to do with other things, but they understand what is taking place. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go through. I'm going to speed this thing up. Okay, you got two new Fed chiefs coming in. You have Yeltsin. She's a woman. She's a rival to Bernanke. You got Lawrence what? Summers, who's a member of a close-knit group of men proteges of the former what? Robert Rubin, who have what? Dominated policymaking, both Clinton and what? Obama's what? Administration. And then it's actually during the Bush administration. These men include the former Secretary Tim what? Geithner, Gene Sperling, and the President Policies Advisor are not quietly pressing Mr. Obama to nominate Mr. Summers. The choice of a Fed chair is perhaps the single most important economic positive decision that Mr. Obama will make in his second term. Mr. Bernanke's successor must lead the Fed fractional policymaking committee in deciding how much longer, and how much higher it should be pushed to stimulate what? Growth and seek to drive down the employment rate. So that's already indication of telling you. He said, how much longer can we continue to do what? Print up what? This money. It says Ms. Yeltsin's selection would vote for a continuity. She is the architect of the Fed's stimulus campaign and shares with Mr. Bernanke a low-key collaborative style. So what she says, she's going to continue to do what?
What he started.
What he started, and these guys here, they're saying, wait a minute, we got to halt this stuff. So you got the two factions, the two opposing forces here.
They want something.
That's right. And we're going to see how this thing is played out. And remember, this has to be done sometime between now and say November, December. They'll probably make a decision. They'll probably make it on weekend. Well, most people, they don't know anything anyway. So that's how that goes. So, okay, now let me say this as I close out. There is a Fed FO meeting this Wednesday. This Tuesday and Wednesday, they're going to wind up, and as a number of observers have said, they look for policymakers to rehash the messages of the last several weeks. If anything, sentiment may have shifted some toward a more dovish Fed after Wall Street Journal article said that policymakers may fine-tune their forward guidance, thereby rephasing their intention to remain accommodative, means they're going to print lower money as needed, and despite any modest tapering of initiatives. Economists do not, they said that they do not expect the Feds to announce any scaling back of the QE next what? Back of quantitative easing next week, although they may feel it could happen where?
In September.
If data keeps improving. So what they're gonna do temporarily, they're gonna quit, they're gonna reduce the printing money. When they reduce the printing money, what do you think they're gonna do to gold and silver?
Sky.
No, I said
will go down.
And there you go, it'll go down. See, and that's not taken into consideration. They already said that basically what they want, ideally, Bernanke want to give the next Fed chairman some room to maneuver. So what happens if he cuts it back? Just say he cuts it back 50 billion, do 85 billion. So they cut it back 20 or 30%. I don't know what it is. Just say they cut it back 20%. Well, that gives the next chairman some room to raise it, and it don't look so what? It doesn't look so bad. They play these dog and pony shows, so you know that. But whenever the thing finally collapses, it's a big problem on that. So that's coming this week. Let us move forward. You got that's the debt. That's the crazy debt. For this week already, the U.S. Treasury has already exceeded the federal legal borrowing limits of $16.7 trillion in May. They already over that. What do they do now when they go over? Where do they get the money from? Because Congress has not okayed borrowing money. They go into people's what? The Fed's what? Pension players. The postal workers, the Fed pensions, and borrow money until what? Until they get it. That's a
They doing that now. They running the federal government off the money from the post office now.
That's what I'm saying. So those are people don't understand what's transpiring. Okay, we did that. I'm looking for, wait a minute, I want to go back here real quick to Detroit. I have something about Detroit. Where's Detroit at?
Detroit is a mission.
I know, I'm never, yeah.
Really?
Really?
About 150 miles away.
Something like that.
Okay, here it is here. It says taking the opposing side. What's happened against that?
Rick Snyder and Detroit Emergency Manager Kevin Orr,
Yeah.
Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuett said Saturday that he will defend the state's constitutional protection of public pensions and the Motor City's historic bankruptcy fund. Michigan's Constitution, Article 9, Section 24, is crystal clear in stating that pension obligations may not be diminished or impaired, Schuett said. Michigan's Constitution, Article 9, Section 24, that's it, just said it twice.
It just said it twice. So what you say, the pension has to, they're going into debt for about 18 to 20 billion dollars. And I think about $4 or $5 trillion has to be towards the pension. So what they're going to do is reduce the pension, the pay of the pension and the asset amount, because they're going to the pensions on, you know. So there's a fight.
So the governor wants to do it in the
And the emergency manager, Calvin Cole, they want to reduce the pension. And the state's attorney said, wait, we got a constitution here.
Right.
So this stuff goes in the federal court. Now, this is going to set a precedent of how, whatever decided on this case, is going to be a precedent for all future ways of how they are going to
Deal with the city bankrupt.
deal with a city when it goes bankrupt.
They already reduced that unemployment too.
They already reduced unemployment in Michigan. So you got this is a major problem of how. Remember, you got a state that's in debt, and they're looking for a jubilee to get out.
Yeah.
But yet they want to spare the pensioners their pay. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to be played out in months to come. And watch it very carefully as it goes through the court system. This is the federal court. So
weren't you saying something before about how the governor, you know, like if the Constitution says something, that's what we're supposed to go by. But now the governor and the emergency manager can, you know, do things against the Constitution.
No, what it is that they're taking it to a bankruptcy court. And the bankruptcy court has to decide whether or not the state constitution will allow them to take the people's pension. That's what it's all comes down to. So you got creditors in there. They said, wait a minute, we want our money.
100,000.
As I said, so you got 100,000 creditors in there. And some of the big creditors said, well, then the big problem is if we can get rid of the pensioners, we get our money back.
Okay.
We get more of our money back. And people said, no, you can't leave us dirty poor now just to pay off the debt. You see, this goes back to the Bible there, that second chapter of Kings. What is it? Elijah? It was Elisha, where one of his disciples died, and his wife had his wife and his 2 children. The creditors came to his wife and said, listen, hey, your husband left a great deal of debt. We want your 2 sons, and they got to go into slavery to pay off the what? To pay off the debt. And she ran to Elisha. Elisha said, well, how are we going to pay off the debt? He said, listen, you got that oil in your in the house there. Just give me that. And then he said, listen, what you got in this house? And she said, I don't have any. They said, go out and get every container you can beg and borrow and put in there. And what happened was she was supposed to fill all the containers in that house, you know, because she filled all the containers up. When they were all filled, the oil did what? The oil stopped. Then he said, well, take the oil and go to the market and pay your what? Credit. That's the commodity market. She took this oil, more like it was olive oil. That was a lot of money there.
Yes.
And she took it to the market and paid it all. So unless Yahweh creates some type of asset for you to pay off your creditors, you in deep what?
Trouble.
You in deep trouble. So this is what is happening here with the Detroit. How are they gonna pay off their debt? Pay off this debt or reduce the debt or declare some form of jubilee when you have this huge pension obligation. That's the quandary. That's what Yahweh catches them in a quandary. We can't because we wipe out all these people. If you wipe out all these 32,000 people in Detroit that's on pension, well then how the money gonna circulate in the economy?
They're gonna have a problem.
That's what I'm saying.
People ain't gonna stand still while they do that.
And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That is the whole point. They're between a rock and a what?
Hard place.
That hard place. And they better watch it real careful. Because this be killing something very volatile. Don, this is play with nitro what?
Glycerin.
Because as what's his
TNT
name?
on top of it.
Oh, David. What's this guy's name? No, not David. Peter Schiff says, the guy that has the trend report. He says when you lose everything, you got nothing else to lose. You what? You lose it.
Jerry Salenti.
Jerry Salenti. So if you done lost everything,
Desperate
people do what?
Desperate things.
I mean, what can I do? I mean, I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well blow up something, tab something. You know? So this is what you have in this situation. Now, what I want to go is simply this is the dollar. In closing, this is the dollar over the last 6 months, or that is last year. It's the last 6 months. And we can see that the dollar has been in an upward trend ever since, really we go back all the way to December. We've moved up. Here's a 200-day moving average here. And we just been slowly we're coming back down here. The point is that as the dollar declines here, you can't see it here, but as the dollar declines here, what happens here is, as the dollar declines, gold has actually come down. I mean, gold is actually really spiked up here, but this is a 10-year chart of gold here. And this 10-year chart of gold is what you have here. Is that we hit almost what? 2,000 was the magic number. We had 1921, we're about $80 short of 2,000. We fell from 1920 down to 1,200. This is where we currently.
2011. That decline started in 2011.
That decline started in 2011. And this was in really September of 2011 is when this failed, and we've been declining for the last what? 2 years. For silver, we declined. It started in April of 2011, and we declined. Well, this is a 10-year chart. So how low we go? Because they're actually trying to push this down as far as they can, and you can see this. They can possibly push it back down to almost 1,000. You see, here's support level here. The support level at 12, but there's real strong support level at 1,000, and that's a day of what? It's a day of Yahweh. One day with Yahweh is the same as 1,000. And we told you, years ago, that gold would march through the ages as Elohim was in the midst of this 7-branch gold and what? Candlestick. So you got 7 branches. So and if 1,000 is 1,000 for each branch, so we only got to the what? 2nd branch. We haven't got to. He did say 3,500. That puts you in the midst. See, so we haven't even got through the midst of this the run of gold, and silver hasn't even got started. So this is a 10-year chart of what you call. So what we have is a movement up. You have this huge movement up from roughly about $400, and gold has went up what 5-fold. In July of 20 from $400 up to just short of $2,000. That's 5 times 4 is 2,000. That's a 5-fold increase. And when you look at silver, it's I think it's 6 times this that. So this is a 10-year chart of gold. So we're gonna have these temporary pullbacks. This here is just to get people out of these metals, and see, and make the people appear that things are all right, and then we make the move, then we make another slingshot what? Up. See, now, there is a classic theory on gold, I mentioned it just on silver, a shot, it's called the Elliott wave, and it moves by the pattern. What they say is you have 3 up movements and you have 2 down movements. The 2 down movements represents the 2 what? 2 veils in this what? And this tabernacle. So let me show you what happened. So what's happening basically is we've already had gold moves, any market moves up over a period of time. Now this is over a period of years. The pattern is they have looked at it, the experts have said that it goes, you have a movement up and you have a movement what? Down, then it moves back up and then back down, and then finally they get the slingshot move. So how many down movements do we have? 2. And how many up movements do we have?
3.
You have 3 up movements. So this would be CRA, holy place, most holy place. This would be the first veil, and this is the what? That's the general move of this market, but in between these movements up, you got ups and what?
Ups and downs.
You got ups and downs along these movements here, and ups and downs. And this is what confuses folks, but they can't see the overall what? Picture, because they have no what? Pattern to look at. And this is what they call the Elliott wave. It was discovered in the 1940s by somebody. Again, it's a form of the pattern movement. 3 movements up, 2 movements down. And that's a basic movement that has. So this is what you have here. So you have 1 movement down, you got what? 2. 1 here and 1 here. The real hard ones are right here. This happens when in 2008 and 9. This is the real estate what? Crash here, and Lehman Brothers crash. All this is here. Now we have another crash here, and, here, and then this will end. I don't know whether it'll be 1,200 or 1,100, but we'll probably come back down again, and eventually we'll just move back up, slingshot up, and usually it's from peak to peak. It's usually 2 to 3 years, from one peak to another peak to this peak. And then from bottom to bottom is about 3 years. So wherever we bottom out here, you figure out 2 to 3 years out, we're back up probably 35, 4,000. That's something crazy. Because this next crisis, they're going to do something crazy, and people are going to begin to totally lose what? Their faith. They were shocked here, and they were shocked here, and then we had this market move up, stock market move up. Now they'll get shocked again. They're going to say, no, I know where I'm going. So that is what you have here. So we go to, let me see if I can go to the next one real quick.
What did the dollar do between 2011 and,
Okay, during this period here, this here period, we go back to, now wait a minute, this is silver. Now you see how silver started here at what? At 6. And it went from 6 to 40. How many times is that? That's 8 times. Gold went up 4 times, silver went up 8 times. And silver is the redemptive. What silver represents as a metal, it represents redemption. How do we know that? How many pieces of silver was given to the Messiah? 30. So silver wasn't gold, it was silver. Right. Gold represents the resurrection or the glorification. And silver represents the redemptive power of Messiah's death, burial, and resurrection. That's the payment for sin. See, was his death. So we have this huge, now you see all this spike up, we stayed at 20 a long time. 20 a long time. It's 20 back in 2011, it's 20 years. Now after the crisis, 2009, all this is QE1, QE2, QE3. This is all the crisis, and silver just went from roughly about 17, 18, just under $20, and it went straight to the what? It went straight to the moon. It went up for about it really went about 17, and we almost went up 3 times from here. And you can see that we're almost back down to where we started from in 2008, 9. See, but at some point, you can see that we're going to have a move up. See, down here is 2008. We go back to 2 years here. 2 years here. See, this is right here 2 years ago. This is about 2 years we went. This is a 10. we doubled. So then after this crisis here, we came back down to just under 8, and all of a sudden, we didn't double. We went 4 times. We went up from here. We went from 6 times from about $8 and some change up to almost $50. That's a 6-time move, and we did it in roughly, approximately what? About 2 years. So whenever this thing finally bottoms out, you look out 2 to 3 years, you're gonna have this type of movement in silver, just explosive move up. Because silver typifies the redemptive power of Yahshua Messiah, and gold is actually the glorification. So that is how. So then, when this was moving up, the dollar was doing what? Going down during this period. This is a big crisis period.
Go to your dollar chart.
And we go back to the dollar chart, and you can see that during that same period. I don't think
You had it on there. You showed us in the
Okay. No, this doesn't go back further though.
No.
No, I got a 10-year chart. This is only a 6-month chart. Within that same period, the dollar was going down, and it hit through lows, like here. And all of a sudden, they correct the situation and start manipulating currency, and then all of a sudden the dollar goes back up, going back up. So that is. So here's the stock market. Okay, this is the stock market here, and again, I should give you a 10-year, but I can explain this here. Now let me explain this.
Can you get rid of the left side?
Forget that. Here it is here. This is the problem. Listen here. You got 15,000 in the Dow. You got 15 all-time high in the Dow. And are we before the crisis or after the crisis? And the crisis, are we in the still crisis? Are we still in the crisis? Which we are. But it's been camouflaged. So what happened, what I'm trying to show you is this. The craziness. Here we are at 15,000, let's say 15,600. Now before, this is the Dow Jones. This is the close as of Friday. Now if we go back 2.5 or 3 years back prior to the crisis of the real estate crisis when Bush was in office, we had 14,002. So you telling me that we're up almost over $1,100 and the crisis is still going on? Or you telling me that from this number it would appear that things have gotten what? Better in the economy, but they have not.
Right.
See, it's just a fraud or what they've done. They have manipulated the stock market up to give you an appearance that everything is what? Hunky-dory, but everything is, as a matter of fact, you're worse now at 15,600 than you was at 14,200 because the crisis had not what? Had not been manifested yet.
It's an illusion.
This is an illusion. And how do we do this? I told you this is all money being pumped by the Fed, given to the member banks. They don't pump the stock market up. It gives everybody the illusion that everything is okay. And people are putting money there. They put their IRA money, they put their 401k. I told one guy, I said, listen, you better cash this thing out. See, and go back to cash. And if not, you'll get wiped out of this next move down. See, and people cannot see that this thing is all an illusion, and they're being manipulated and jerked around. And see, his 401k does not allow him to buy gold and silver. I say, well, you between a rock and a hard place, as best as you can, is to buy some treasury bills and then stay there. You're gonna lose some money anyway, but at least you won't lose as much as you can in the what? And you know what you can lose in the stock market coming down, and also the valuation. So you're losing what? Twice. So this shows you that the whole situation is being manipulated. And it's a very good Ponzi scheme because the money is coming from the Fed gives it to the banks put it into the stock market to raise it up, to suck the people in and give them an impression that things are okay. So that's what you have. See, under Yahweh system, the debt could never get this straight because it reached the height and it would start all over again. And you had a fair system where things were, for every dollar you had a dollar in what? If you had a dollar, you had a $20 bill, you had a $20 gold piece. So everything was equal. You never had these booms and busts as crazy as you have it now until the feds come in and start printing just all this money up out of thin air because they wanted free money to manipulate the system and to be able to buy the system. Now, and finally, I want to give you one other thing here. Now look at this. And Putin is holding, this here is,
Some booty.
that's a bullion bar there.
I like that.
This is what they are buying. See, they're buying gold and silver to offset the decline in the paper money.
Stockpiling.
So what they're saying, so this is the dilemma. So when this thing is rebooted and reset, then what should normally happen is that the East and the West should come to the table, where the East has the same voting rights and the same power now is equally with Russia and China as it with the United States and EU. But you know that ain't gonna work.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
That ain't gonna happen. So this is why they stocking the way away, and they have to find out, well, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to start our own economy, because this stuff get flaky. At least we can trade with what? Each other. With gold, and we don't have to use a dollar. And so this is going to be the fraction. This is going to be the system. Because if you're going to set up a world system, everybody's got to be what in it. But then these people have their own gold. So what makes you think they're going to enter that system? That you have set up with your own rules that locks them up out. This is just like the civil rights. See, they wanted us to buy everything, in the South, but we had no what?
Right.
Like, that stuff ain't gonna work. So this is what you're transpiring here. And so look for more confusion, maybe a temporary stock market crash or something, temporary to come down in September, October, and then we want a new Fed chairman announced. A lot of stuff to be, everything will be in a great deal of flux as we get into the fall with change of a new order.
Transition.
In the transition as you get a new chairman to come in. And you got to understand that I know Bernanke is glad to get himself out of this, because he don't want that stuff on his own name to follow his watch. He already went through one of them, so he don't want to be around on the next one. Now I'm gonna, if there's no questions there,
Question.
Go ahead.
When it goes over to this new world system, if it happens, if Yahweh allows it, do you see or foresee any rules or commands on people like you who are self-sufficient?
Yeah, well, what they'll probably do, basically what they're going to do, is they'll probably, what you're going to do, when the new system goes in, there's going to be a lot of turmoil in the streets because of this. Let us do it this way. When Solomon died, you can do the same thing when Joshua died. The people were supposed to be released from the laws of what? Laws of Moses. All those orders and sacrifices were supposed to have ended. But the Jews what? They kept doing it, and then those that didn't do, they did what to them? They persecuted them. So you're going to have the same principle down here, whereby the people revolt. Some people will accept the new system. The other people say, well, I'm going to keep the Constitution. You've got a great deal of what?
Confusion.
A great deal of confusion under this thing. Because once they disannul the Constitution and set this new world order, or whatever fashion that it is, you're going to have a lot of white people just going off. They're going to literally go off. So you got confusion between the old and the new. See what I'm saying? The old covenant, the Constitution, is the new Constitution, which would abrogate many of the rights in which you have here. Because remember what they say you got too many rights under the what? Under the Constitution. So freedom of speech would be limited, all types of things would be limited. And that would cause a problem under this, because they would try to lock the system down, they would try to monitor. Remember, they tried to monitor in the times of the Messiah when he was crucified. Remember, the Jews were of Yahshua, they were in great what? Fear of the government. So here we have a system that's fallen. People are going to be great. People are already in great fear of the government. But once the system collapses, you can see the great fear.
Chaos and confusion.
See, and confusion.
And conflict.
And conflict. And remember, finally, the people that were they were not Joshuans, the regular Jews, they revolted against who? Caesar. And Caesar got so mad, he sent the Emperor Titus up there, and when they tore down the whole temple. And that's when the sacrifices ended as far as the Jews were concerned. It's when Roman came up there and tore it down and killed 2 million of them and sent the rest of them into slavery.
So Lee,
what?
Do you see it as it is today, or is it just confusion everywhere?
But there's been confusion over the whole globe.
Just people running around acting crazy like riots, or is it
you have some of that? You have some of that. You have riots. You have riots. You have food riots. You have
Insurrections.
Insurrections.
Civil unrest, all of that.
Civil unrest. You have masses of folks. The masses of folks won't really. You have a minority revolted, but the most of the people just want to eat and have a job.
Right.
But they can't find a job because the government's dead broke. And in the new system, they won't be able to use most of those people. Because whatever system they set up, the amount of work that'll be necessary, they won't have it.
That's why they want to get rid of you through the food.
Because just remember, this is not the 1930s. Most labor is done now through robots.
Yep.
So you go to a plant, you look at what Ford did in the 1930s and the 1950s, and you look at now, what's on the assembly line, they're never going to have that many people ever again on the assembly line because they have these artificial intelligent robots that can do the work of, say, 30 men.
Yep. They don't need us.
They break down.
Unless they break down.
They got robots to fix robots.
So that's what you have now, and that's the chaos that they're in because they have no way of managing this system. Even though they wipe their debt off and they reboot the system, that still don't solve a whole lot of problems. Because most people will be dead broke. And see what they will go back to being is you do what Joseph did. It said that Joseph put food in the city. They haven't done that. Second of all, as when money failed in Egypt, they sold all their land and everything unto Pharaoh and sold themselves under what? Slavery. Let me ask you a question. Who owns most of the houses in U.S.? It's the Federal Reserve and HUD and Fannie Mae and Freddie. So you live in a house upside down. You don't own because there's no equity there. So they take the house over and say, you pay rent. So you live in a house that the federal government owns. So you just like the people that sold themselves to the Pharaoh, and then the government said, we're going to give you a job.
So if you're self-sufficient and this goes, I'm just trying to see.
Yeah, if you have to be self-sufficient within this system to be able to escape the tyrannical powers. You're limited the powers over you because they have a threat. If they don't like you, they can either do the same thing as what is that movie, Enemy of the State. They cut your credit card off or kick you out of the house. Now you're homeless. You don't have a job. So most folks are going to go. Remember, most folks are going to wind up working for the government to some type of way. That's only somebody can provide both for the what?
Job.
The 56 million people. If you didn't have 56 million of people on food stamps, where do you think that people would be?
In the street.
In the streets. You'd have food line. It looked so doggone crazy. It looked like Mad Max.
And crime would be sky high.
And crime would be sky high.
Because they see you go to work and they meet you coming home.
That's it.
And Steve is right.
So what that means simply this. What that means simply this. Yahweh has to set up some place for the sons of Yahweh to escape the turmoil. Like he did what? Goshen. In other words, it's a separate community like a Indian reservation, where you self-contained and you ain't in the mess.
Right.
The same way it happened with
off the
Daniel, when they were given a province or a state to govern, so they were not in the what? Chaos. You know, you get it, you're not what? Of it.
Can I just add one thing?
Go ahead.
Even what they give us is gonna be under the auspices of the system for a time.
For a time, that's
You
like I
can't
said.
just freelance and do anything you want
Right.
in the context of wherever they put us.
Right, in other words, you found favor in like Joseph. Joseph found favor in Pharaoh's eyesight.
Yes.
And was given that land in Goshen for them to raise their sheep. So they had food, they had meat, they had everything that they needed there. So they didn't have to ask Pharaoh for nothing, basically, except for just administrative type things. So that's how it was set up. I mean, so it has to be something that self-contained where he separates the, as he did the Egyptian from the what? The Israelites. See, it'll be something like that. We don't know exactly how it'll be, but it'll be something like that. Because remember, in each time, Pharaoh's kingdom became a crisis situation. And they had to have a man of El or somebody that Yahweh had given knowledge enough for them to straighten the situation out because it got beyond them. So you can say the same chaotic, this situation was so chaotic, they ain't able to figure it out. All the king men's, you know what I'm saying? How many of them had to fall off?
Couldn't put them back together again.
You couldn't put it together again. That's the problem is, how they gonna put this system back together? You got these people that got all this gold, everybody feel that they entitled to a seat. And the people that have the entitlement, they ain't gonna wanna what? They don't want to give it up. So you can see that Yahweh has a division in the satanic kingdom. It's what? It's division in the kingdom. That's why you know when the Yahshua Messiah comes, you always have a division between the scribes and the what? Pharisees. So you have the same situation you have here. The Democrats and Republicans, there's always a division. They can't agree on nothing. And they won't agree on nothing. Even when the house is burning down, they should put water on. I don't think we should put water on.
Well, that's part of the plan.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Total chaos.
Right, okay.
So, that is, that's all of that, but I want to make one final thing that you should keep your eye on.
Question.
What?
So Lee, over in Revelation where it says no man could buy or sell unless they had the mark,
Right.
is that happened yet? Or is that,
No, that's not, well, it has probably almost happened. In one sense, you can't, let me look at some place I can tell you, this is a good example. You cannot go to a rental car agency with cash. You gotta have a what?
Credit card.
You see what I'm saying? You can't buy a sell up and then unless you got a credit card. They ain't, I don't care how much cash you got.
You can't book a hotel.
And listen, it's the same way with hotels now.
Yeah.
You can't walk, it used to be, you walk in a hotel,
Yeah, okay.
and you say you got a room, I want to go to Conrad Hilton, I want a room. I would say 2 days, here's the cash. They said, no, we want an ID and a credit card.
Got the idea.
You said, I'm paying cash. I said, I don't care what you paying. You better come up with an ID and a credit card.
And some
Same-
places
same
even
thing
take a
with
copy
flying.
of it. Some places even take a copy of it.
Right, so that the idea is that you're being already monitored and what? Watched. So even if you look at the new patents that come out, they've already had a patent where they want to be able to what? What they want to do is come out with a smart card.
Yeah, national ID.
As a nationwide ID. What the ideal thing is what you say, whether it be a chip or a card, like they do in France or certain places. What they want to do is put all your financial information, all your medical information, how many girlfriends you got, all this on a card.
Bank account.
And bank account, all that stuff is on that one card now. So you swiping it. So they have all that information what? Consolidated. And there's no buying or selling, not unless you have that what? Card. And in to clarify what that
Minority Report.
as Don pointed out, in that Obama bill, they have a national what? ID. And if you don't have the ID, you cannot get any services in any hospital. So you cannot go into any. Matter of fact, you can't get no. Matter of fact, right now to show you, you can't get in a federal building without ID.
Right, that's exactly right.
You can't get in no federal building without. You gotta have some ID, a passport, an FOI card, or a driver's license, a state ID. Other than that, you ain't getting in here. So that goes to show you that there's no buying or selling. You can't move around without a what? ID or a number on that card. That card has a number on it, has a bar strip. They swiping that card through there, and it better come out right, or you want it for murder. Listen, look at that card right now.
Yeah.
That's been, I mean, before now, because when you went shopping and they, you pay for something and your name come up on a computer, your address and everything,
Yep.
that's always been, I mean, for a while.
Right, so you already have a number, and you're buying and selling, you gotta have a number, some type of number, because you can see now that everything is being monitored and watched. Your ID, here you have your what? All your emails, oh, you didn't know that. Every telephone call, you being monitored. Smartphone, I told everybody's gonna have a smartphone in about 5 to 10 years. These old phones people got, y'all would say everybody's gonna have a smartphone. Whether you want it or not, and you'll be monitored, and they have a chip in there, that will, all they gotta do is put in that number, and it'll tell you exactly where you at.
They can do this now.
GPS system.
See, not on the old phones, get the people out.
Okay, yeah.
On the old phones, you can take the thing out, but they said, no, we want everybody to have a phone that's a smartphone.
The television gonna be like that too.
Oh, yeah, the television, already, exactly.
All your appliances
It's
too.
already like
They
that.
put it as a digital.
And they're gonna talk to one another.
Right.
I know that what you're saying is accurate. Stephen and my son was going through, they was in a federal building, and they was going through the checkpoint. His name popped up, Steve Henderson. Son name popped up, Steve Henderson, and she froze them both. Wait a minute. Y'all, women, how too. He said, Judge Science said, I'm Junior. Oh, okay. Because both of them is in the government.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
flags
right.
like that. So they definitely on the monitoring system.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're talking about. This is what's happening all along. And at some point, now we haven't got to the fact that you got these masses of people working. Somebody got to go out with them camps. I told you, Pookie and Ray, I saw that. Pookie and Ray, they got them people off the street because they got too many problems. And see, the problem is that they already know what they can do to lock the city down. And remember, they did Dayton in Chicago. You didn't have no crime in Chicago. We went to the south side where nobody stand in the street. Everybody said gonna breathe for everybody because they knew the black, what they call them, Don? The black SUVs with them tinted windows.
The Hummers.
The Hummers would roll down the street and people got they knew what was coming.
Right, they saw the signs.
See, they saw the signs and those guys got out looking like Darth Vader.
That's right.
Looking like Darth Vader. Everybody know that was a woman, dog.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So they cleared the streets. The Spirit told me make sure we went to the south side. I made sure I had an ID on me. I checked it 2 or 3 times.
And they didn't have no killing during that time.
That's what I'm saying.
So why they got it now then?
What they're doing, what did he say? They want the system to crash so that you would ask for new what?
A new system.
A new system. See, they know that already the lady out on the south side of Chicago, she said, we want martial law. She said, we don't care what you do with these kids.
Just get them off the street.
Just get them off. I just want some peace.
And that's fair.
That's total fear. They're going to take them, put them in the camps.
Look, I asked somebody, would you give up all your freedom for safety? He said, yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, scared.
That's what we have. Now let me show you in closing here. There is a, wait a minute. This is what we have here. Okay, I just want you to read this. There's a warning out, Max Kaiser came out with it, that the Dutch bank, the Deutschland Bank, it's a DB bank, that bank is definitely bankrupt. And it's on life support. What does that do with it? And
It was there, but that popped up.
yeah, I had it sensitive. Here it is here. Many people will what?
Never know what hit them.
You know that's right.
Okay, just read this here, and
The financial insider known as the guerrilla economist, and by the, you wanna put it on, you wanna do something to make it like, and by his first initial V, appeared with author.
now, I told you he is he's a top commodity expert in the world. So they told him to listen. You keep your mouth shut. Now you can say it, but don't use nobody. You know, just use this name, so that you don't come up what.
Listen.
Go ahead.
Appeared with author and researcher Steve Quayle on the Hagman report and made an unexpected and extremely troubling claim. He stated unequivocally that Deutsche Bank was not only in trouble, but was going to go belly up. For the link, okay, let's go to May 14th.
You can go to. We're not gonna play the link because we don't have time. But continue on here.
The following day, his claims were the subject of an article written by Kenneth Stockton Jr. on the widely popular Examiner website under the title Banking Insider. The Deutsche Bank in danger zone and will go belly up. Let me give you the link. The guerrilla economist as follows. Deutsche Bank, big bank, biggest bank in Germany, and one of the biggest banks in the Eurozone, they're gonna go belly up. Watch it. I said it's gonna happen. They are in such a danger zone. They don't know what to do. The Deutsche Bank derivative debt is greater than the global economy.
Can you imagine this? One bank has more debt than the whole world's economy. Go ahead.
That is one bank, what is it, 72 trillion?
$72 trillion in derivatives.
Right.
Exposure. The entire global economy, all the countries in the world is only, what is it, 46?
666 trillion. So here's a bank that's run up $72 trillion in debt. I said 72 trillion. $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. So you got 7,000. You got 7,200 billion, which is 72 trillion. Listen, more than that. That's 72. That's
72 trillion is
Trillion.
72,000.
At 72,000
Billion.
billions.
Right.
So it's so crazy, and you got 66 trillion in GDP. It can't be what?
Can't be paid.
The economy can't generate enough money to pay off this one bank. And see, and JP Morgan Chase, they're in the same place situation. Morgan Chase, y'all had this huge debt that's greater than the economy. So, and the actual derivative debt was 1.6 quadrillion.
They don't even know.
They don't even know. So the whole system is gonna crash because the debt is like Yasha said, the whole world lying and sin.
And he said, following that show, we received hundreds of emails from people who mocked and laughed at the claim, asserting the Deutsche Bank is not in trouble.
That's right.
And what was that? Here,
It will never fail.
Okay, thank you. And will never fail.
No, it's gonna fail.
So that's Wednesday, 2 months after that, February 14th.
Right.
Revelation of the Hagman, well-known economist
Max Kaiser. Now Max Kaiser appears on the Russian what?
Russian TV.
Russian TV. That's what he said.
My Geneva Fund contact, Deutsche Bank is officially on suicide watch. DB will be the next Lehman moment that triggers a new collapse. And those people that call in laughing and mocking, how do they know? They talking about it'll never fail. Did they ever look at this book, bank statements?
That's what they were saying during the depression.
Okay, now remember this. Read on. My Geneva Fund contact.
My Geneva Fund contact, that's what I just read. My Geneva Fund contact, Deutsche Bank is officially on suicide watch. It will be the next Lehman moment that triggers the new collapse.
Okay, now read this and we'll finish this.
I got it, this is big.
If you can see it,
I know I can. I'm like, you gotta be Superman.
I'm trying to get this.
Can you make it brighter, please, too, so you can see it? It was white at first.
Yeah, it was white.
There you go.
you can see it, then you.
No, I can't, that's why I was laughing. I'm like,
So basically what he said is that bank will go what?
Belly up, there.
Belly up.
So like Jim White,
Yeah, Jim.
okay, Jim White, CB, financial.
Just read the bold.
The best information coming to my desk indicates that this might, that these major Western banks.
The three major
Western banks are under constant threat of failure overnight, every night, forcing extraordinary measures to avoid failure. They are Deutsche Bank in Germany, Barclays in London, and Citibank in New York. Judging from the ongoing defense from
prosecution
and cooperation with Interpol and distinctive.
Well, you know, in other words, what they're basically saying is that these banks are they're just like somebody that is in intensive care, in a closed scrutiny, because at any moment they could blow up.
Blow up.
They could blow up and collapse and take the whole economy with it.
So Max Kaiser confirmed V.
Yeah. Max Kaiser,
and now Jim Willie.
And now Jim Willie, they all understand these banks are in big trouble, and that's the problem. So what we have is a repeat of the Messiah and the money changers. He said they were a den of what? Thieves. And this is what we have. This is what we have, a den of thieves that have taken over the world economy. They're gonna crash the whole thing. So are there any questions on this?
Well, it seems like all other countries are falling first. You know, even though the United States and their debt problem, you know.
Well, listen this way. If you're a billionaire in debt, you can put off the day of reckoning further than somebody that's working in what? Say, General Motors Ford plant. They lose their job, and you know, they got a little savings, and they got 6 months of savings. Then you wither through that. Then you sell off your cars and stuff, sell off certain assets, and you slowly, you know, you try to get you a part-time job. Eventually, you're hanging on, but you slowly what? Down. Slowly going down. And see, the more assets you got, the bigger you can hang on. So the United States is a big country. We have a lot of economies, we have a lot of stuff, so we are hanging on. And then we have a military power. Who gonna declare bankruptcy on the world powers, on the world's most powerful country? So little by little, but we slowly what?
Falling.
We're slowly falling, drowning in debt, and as nations not to use the currency, and as a result now, why are we paying $3-4 for gasoline now? The dollar is listen, when Bush got in, we were paying what, $1 and what? We was paying less than $2 for gasoline, now we're paying almost what? $4. Those that have any type of capital, most people won't have any capital to do anything. So they're going to exchange their labor for the new what? For the new currency. And as a result of the new currency, this is what's going to happen. The new currency, things will be so cheap, but wages will be what?
Low.
Low.
And more work.
Huh?
And more work.
No, it won't. Yeah, but as far as they're concerned, it'll work. Yeah, we know it won't work.
No,
So
I
that's
said
the way it's
more
gonna-
work.
Huh?
More work. Cheap
Oh,
labor, less cost and more work.
Exactly. So what you have, it'll be just like the 1930s again, with the money being further